Welcome back to Try Business International. My name is Bob Babbitt. We are brought to you by Babbittville and Endurance Sports Wire. Our next guest, the general manager over at Active, Mr. Sam Renouf. Sam, how are you?
I'm very well. It's good to be here.
Thank you so much for taking time. I know you're coming off 1,000 people watching Mr. Dave McGilvery.
That's right. Yes, we just had a webinar series. We've been working with Dave for about 6 months on helping educate race directors around the world, and we just did a webinar just literally an hour ago. We had over 1,000 people join in, which is really incredible, from Mexico, Australia, Russia, all around the world.
That is so
cool.
Yeah,
it was a great session.
Talk a little bit about when I think back to Active. Active started with really with Rock and Roll Marathon, and then with Ironman. You guys have been involved with the key brands in the sport from the very beginning. Mm-hmm. How has Active changed in the last few years since the acquisition?
Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah, we've certainly changed a lot over the last 16 years, and I mean, we were really the pioneers in registration.
No
we were
question.
The guys that started it, and really the whole ethos and mission of the company was to get away from all those pieces of paper and checks that race directors were having to deal with.
Yes.
But over time, really, that's moved more about, it's no longer about just removing the administration, it's about managing the data as you've collected. So as you can imagine, a company of our size, we're collecting nearly 100 million registrations a year.
100 million?
That's right, 100 million. And so that's a huge amount of data, and it's a huge amount of information, but it's too much data to really make sense of as an individual. And so the next phase of the company is in big data. And so we've spent the last 2.5, 3 years investing in a platform called the Activity Cloud, which applies big data theory and application for the endurance market and all of the markets that we're in.
So when people come to active.com to register, that's they're doing a transaction, and a lot of times they're doing the transaction, they're leaving. What does Active do to obviously be sticky, to keep people there and stay on the site?
Well, and actually it's interesting you say that. So one of our big strategies this year is around what we call supporting the entire event life cycle.
Okay.
So going to an organizer and saying, really, and I don't mind saying it as the GM of Active, registration, it's boring nowadays.
Right.
Registration technology, it's simple. Really, it's about providing a technology that can support the organizer and engage with the consumer throughout the entire event itself.
Yes.
And so Active we acquired a company called IPECO. So you may have heard of that,
Yes.
the IPECO sports timing business a year ago. And then we acquired a much smaller group called Virtual Event Bags about 3 months ago.
Yes.
And they're a group that's focused on delivering virtual event bags.
Goodie bags without real bags.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the reason we bought them was that we saw the incredible engagement that they were getting from participants after registration, and really an opportunity both for organizers and brands to engage more with their participants beyond that simple registration transaction.
So what's next?
What's next? Well, there's more of the same and doing it better is the easy answer.
Yes.
We had a record year for growth last year. It was our best ever year in the history of the company as we measure bookings, so that's the amount of new clients that are coming and using us. And now it's really delivering the technology to all of those clients and helping them grow. So I hope it was a year ago that we had a couple of speeches last year and talked about moving to be a big data company, and we continue to do that. I hope in a year's time, everyone will be here and they'll be talking about how registration really isn't it anymore. It's about the life cycle and all those technologies that we're speaking about.
I look at the world we're in as endurance entertainment, because it used to be running, triathlon, cycling, period. Mm-hmm. Now we've got obstacle racing, we got color run, we got so many different opportunities.
Yep.
I think it's a bigger world than it's ever been in terms of that. At the same time, for a sport like triathlon, it's fighting a battle against a lot of other sports. How does a sport like triathlon separate itself from the others, so that or make use of? And a company like Active is in a position with all the different participants where people can learn from obstacle racing. They can learn about the sport of triathlon. That cross-pollination, is that something that Active's involved with?
Very much so, and we had a great panel this morning here at TBI, as I'm sure you were there, with Andrew Mezek, the CEO of WTC, but also John Connors, who's the VP at Color Run. And it was really interesting to hear them talk about their different strategies and how ultimately they're very different participants, they're very different events, but what we're doing is providing an experience for people. And so one of the things we've been doing at Active is to help our organizers learn, the triathlon organizers, learn some of the amazing marketing strategies that the mob organizers have done that are newer to the space. And so as a good example, most of the mud runs and the color runs really grow from teams. People don't sign up to do a color run on their own, because it's probably not much fun just to run along and be on your own, right? And so I think it's over 70% of people that are doing a color run are coming with multiple people together. and that changes the marketing message
Yes.
entirely. Right? And so it's things like that we traditional organizers like triathlon can learn from, use the same tools, using social media to promote their races and ultimately sell out.
That actually, the social media aspect that you just mentioned, that was really in terms of Spartan Race and Tough Mudder, they built their brand through social media.
I'm sure they wouldn't exist at the size that they are without those kind of easy tools to be able to reach a mass audience really quickly.
And does Active work in conjunction with social media? Is that one of the plans moving forward?
Well, absolutely. I mean, you can't work in digital now and not be engaged with the two big trends, other than data that I've already said, is mobile and social media. So allowing organizers, or I should say participants, to share the fact that they've signed up as fast as they can, but also in mobile, which we're seeing as an even bigger dynamic force coming for the industry, is that we need to be able to make sure someone can sign up for something as soon as they have the interest. They shouldn't have to wait and go back to their computer and dial in. We want to be able to make it instantly on a mobile phone.
Now, are you into all this stuff yourself as an athlete?
I should say I used to be into it.
Weren't you a top?
Yeah,
yes.
I used to be.
Were you a professional?
I was on the British team, as a triathlete. It feels like many years ago. Many.
You don't know many years ago. You don't know many years ago.
10 years ago. And I've just got back into running this year because I'm getting married in 6 months. I need to shift some weight for that tuxedo.
I love that. Sam, thanks so much for taking time
My
to
pleasure.
chat. Congratulations on everything you're doing with Active. Active has been, from the very beginning. I remember when guys were running around at the first ever rock and roll talking about Active and being able to register online, and none of us could believe what a lifesaver that. The growth of our sports has been closely tied to the growth of Active.
Yes, without doubt, because we were able to help more people sign up faster and make it easier for organizers.
And expand the reach of our events.
Absolutely.
Right?
And we hope that the next stage really is helping organizers to sell out more of their races, because that's really the challenge we see, is that so many events now are not selling out, or not reaching capacity, I should say, rather than not selling out. And if you compare that to, say, an airline, imagine if the airlines, if 30 or 40% of the seats didn't get sold every time they flew. The airlines wouldn't exist anymore.
Out of business.
So that's the challenge which we see organizers facing every day, and that's what we want our data to help solve.
The other aspect that you guys have been incredibly involved with has been the charity component over the years, where people can not just sign up for an event, but also help support charity. And charity has become obviously a big one of the big reasons the marathons have grown the way they've grown.
Yes, without doubt.
And is that something that's still an initiative for you guys?
Very much so, yes. We've got thousands of charities that use us both for event technology and also the fundraising side too. Especially with the emergence of women's only racing, I'd say, is the other trend. Charities was one, and then women's only racing, and supporting that as they grow.
Love it. Sam, thanks again.
My pleasure.
All right. We're again at TBI. Bob Babbitt. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.